Hi, I'm Jen, and I host the Your Parenting Mojo podcast. I'm so glad you found your way to this page to learn more about the Taming Your Triggers workshop. I'm guessing you're here because you spend more time than you would like interacting with your child in a way that doesn't feel good to you. Maybe you snap at them or shout at them, or maybe even swat or spank them. Most likely you go from feeling normal to being about ready to explode in what seems like no time at all. And you're probably wondering when on earth your child is going to grow out of the behavior that just pushes your buttons so much. It's so tempting to see these issues as our child's problem because we've been here on earth longer. Maybe things were ticking along just fine before they started doing things that get under our skin. So it's easy to think that if our child would just change their behavior, then we wouldn't need to react in this explosive way. I want you to know that your child's behavior is not the source of this problem. It's not your child's fault. It's also not your fault, but it is something that lives in you. Very often, these triggered feelings are a result of trauma. This might be trauma that we ourselves experienced as children, or even trauma that our parents experienced and that was passed on to us through a combination of genetics and their parenting style. But even if we didn't experience truly horrific trauma, the vast majority of us did not have our needs met as children. Our needs were disregarded by our parents because they didn't see our needs or weren't able to meet them, because they saw our needs and chose to disregard them, or because they decided our needs couldn't or shouldn't be met, and they had a project to shape us into the child they wished they had. This can be heavy stuff, but I really don't see it as bad news. It's actually very good news for us as parents, because if you've ever tried to change someone else's behavior, you'll know just how difficult it is. If our job here was to change our child in some way, we'd be facing an uphill struggle. But changing our own behavior is actually something we can do, and in this workshop, I'm going to show you how. We'll spend 10 weeks working together on this. In the first and every odd-numbered week of the workshop, we'll dive deeply into the reasons why you feel triggered, and we'll start taking some steps to resolve that trauma so it doesn't feel as overwhelming. We'll look at this on a cognitive level, related to the things you're thinking about and the stories you tell yourself about your childhood. And we'll learn these really are stories, and we can choose to pay less attention to them if we want to. We'll also look at how this trauma shows up in your body, and we'll help you to process that trauma in your body and learn the signals your body has been trying to send you about your experience as you're interacting with your children. It might seem right now like these explosive feelings come out of nowhere, but actually, your body knows they're coming. And if you can learn how to pay attention to it, you can use these signals to respond effectively to your child rather than reacting. And in the second week and every even-numbered week of the workshop, we'll help you to understand why your child is doing these things you find so triggering, and also what it really is that you need, and how you can actually meet both of your needs, even when it seems like your whole life is a ball of stress and overwhelm, and there couldn't possibly be enough time in the day. There is enough time in the day when you start seeing problems in this way, because you won't be spending nearly as much time frustrated with your child and trying to get them to change their behavior. And instead you'll feel calm and grounded even in the difficult moments that used to make you explode. When you join the workshop, you'll receive one concise email each week containing the content, which is what most parents assume they need to make the change they're looking for, because our culture tells us if only we have the right information, we'll be able to change how we act. But perhaps even more important is the community of parents you'll meet who are doing this work alongside you and who are ready to support you even in your most difficult, raw, vulnerable moments. The community is where the real learning happens as you explore these new ideas with others who will ask and answer questions you didn't even realize you had. You'll also get the opportunity to be matched with an encounter buddy who will help you to process what you're learning and offer a safe, non-judgmental, nurturing space for you to grow alongside each other. The workshop's recommended by a licensed clinical social worker who works in trauma therapy, because while this is not therapy, the workshop is informed by best practices in trauma treatment. I've also had therapists take the workshop and tell me they know the tools, they know what to do, they teach it to others, but they still explode at their own children. They tell me there's something about the way this workshop is structured and supported that actually helps them to apply the ideas in their own lives with their own children. So the Taming Your Triggers workshop has helped so many parents to go from feeling like they are out at sea by themselves with no idea why these triggered feelings are happening, to feeling like they have insight into why it's happening, and they've put practices in place that work for them and their families to navigate the situations that are triggering them now, as well as new ones that come up. With their permission, I've included some of the stories that parents have shared with me about their journey through the workshop, so you can see this is real. It's not massively time-consuming, although it can be difficult to dig into this stuff, but the results are so worth it. You probably know by now how you want to parent. You see the gap between the parent you want to be and where you are, and at the moment that gap seems so impossibly wide, there's nothing you can really do about it. This workshop will help you to close that gap so you can be the parent you want to be and have the kinds of warm, loving interactions you want to have with your child and create the peaceful, connected relationship that will stand you both in good stead for years to come. I'm so looking forward to working with you. Just click one of the sign up buttons below to get started.